Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Philip, and I'm actually here with a weird question for me. Is Citi the best bank to work with? Let's, before you walk away though, I want to get into why this might be actually really good for you, and we'll talk about what that means kind of for everyone moving forward. But before we do, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is helpful for, well, people like you. And of course, that means that more and more people view the content as well, something I really would appreciate. So now that that's out of the way, though, let's get into Citi and why they actually might be a little bit better for most people. So when evaluating points and miles, you kind of want to discuss, well, first of all, whether or not you want to do points and miles. So do you want to do cash back or do you want to do points and miles? And most of the time, most banks actually are making you choose between cash back and miles. Now, there are still some banks that don't make you choose, like Chase. You can either redeem all of your ultimate reward points for 1 cent, or you could transfer them and actually use them as transferable points for flights and hotels and everything else. But some of the other ones, like American Express and Capital One, have kind of required you to decide between one or the other. So if you transfer everything over to Venture Miles with Capital One, you can only actually redeem those for zero point 0.6 cents per point moving forward after that's been done. American Express, same way. If all you do is have a personal, membership rewards earning card from American Express, well, you can only actually redeem those for, again, zero point 0.6 cents per point. We've decided that's how much a point is worth, at least with those particular banks. And so when you're deciding whether or not to do cash and points, you need to figure out what kind of travel you do. And in order to make things like American Express points work, you kind of have to look at the top end. So whenever we're taking a look at, let's say we're saving a couple $100 a night on with a Hilton kind of resort hotel, that's really the only kind of property that makes those point values really high and seem like it's worth it. Capital One, same thing. Chase, well, they have Hyatt, and so as long as they have Hyatt and easy access to United and Southwest, it's easy relatively to get value from those Chase points. But Citi might actually kind of win the game because not only do they have really solid multipliers for the annual fees they also have low annual fees, and they're really actually kind of very good when it comes to domestic travel partners. So even if you're someone who isn't really that into points and miles, and you don't think you're going to be traveling business class to Paris anytime soon, or even first class to Doha or anything like that, you can still get decent value just by using Citi. So we're going to evaluate their cards, and then we're going to take a look at what you can do with those points and kind of figure out what our plan maybe should be moving forward. So let's get into it. We're going to take a look. First of all, there's a number of cards, and we're going to take a look at primarily the lower annual fee side because you don't really need that Citi Strata Elite. So the Citi Strata Elite is kind of their top tier big bad card that just came out recently, and it does have an annual fee of $595, which actually isn't that bad compared to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the American Express Platinum card, but it's there, right? You do have 12 thank you points per dollar on hotels and car rentals through cititravel.com. But kind of the kicker that I want to get into, in order to actually get into the transfer partners with Citi, all you need is the Citi Strata Premier card or a Citi Strata Elite card for those full multipliers. So we're going to start with the Citi Strata Premier card. So we're going to take a look here at the Citi Strata Premier. And this is actually a really solid card. So first of all, you do have the 60,000 point bonus. That's pretty standard. $4,000 unspent over the first 3 months. $95 annual fee. So let's take a look at what we get for that. So for that, you get 10x of on hotels, car rentals, and attractions booked on cititravel.com. So if you're willing to use the Citi Travel portal, this is definitely a great card to get because now remember I think it was 14x for the Citi Strata Elite, but that has an annual fee of $595. So for $500 more, you're only getting not that much of a much bigger multiplier when compared to the Citi Strata Premier. So you also get 3 points per dollar on air travel and hotel purchases. And so this is other hotel purchases. So you can actually use this for, booking through Expedia or something like that. This work. So 3x on that is, first of all, really huge. Then you also get your everyday multipliers too. So you get 3x on restaurants, you get 3x on supermarkets, 3x on gas stations and EV charging stations, and then 1x on everything else. And so this is a pretty solid earner. If you're traveling, this is a great one to have because no foreign transaction fees. But you also, when you're not traveling, when you're just living everyday life, you're earning 3x on some really hard hitting categories. And this is actually a win for Citi, at least compared to American Express. If you want to have a higher gas multiplier with American Express, you either have to do cash back or you can get the business gold card for $375. That gives you 4x on up to $150,000 in spend in your top two categories every single year. And so this actually is solid. So $95, you are covering multiple multiplier categories that aren't that American Express just doesn't cover on a personal card, at least with points. And so this is actually really solid. This is a good card. Now, let's take a look at how this actually beats out Chase. So we've got this. This is actually, not only is this better than the Chase Sapphire Preferred because it doesn't have the online grocery category, but you can do the catch-all card and actually do a lot better than the Citi or the Chase Freedom Unlimited. So this card is the Citi Double Cash card. And I do still advocate for getting this card because this card gets you 2% cash back on every single purchase, but that comes in the form of thank you points. And so those thank you points actually can be banked. So even if the Double Cash card is your first Citi card that you get, and this is all you put your spend on, eventually, once you do get the Citi Strata Premier or the Citi Strata Elite, you can actually then transfer those points out. So you can be earning towards travel without even having a premium travel card or paying for a travel card. And so that's really huge. Now, in addition to that, so this one actually is kind of weird. So you earn 1% cash back when you actually make the purchase, and then you earn an additional 1% when you actually pay that off. And so it does end up to be 2%, but it's an interesting little idea and an interesting dynamic. Now, Citi is really good about these cards giving low intro APR on balance transfers, and so this is really solid. However, if you do use it for a balance transfer, then you will kind of be in an interest earning state on your purchases, and so that is something you do need to be concerned about. Now, you do have $200 cash back, and so I think that's in the form of 20,000 thank you points. And so that's really solid, right? So you can actually start earning already. So that's really solid. So we're at two cards right now, the Citi Strata Premier and the Citi Double Cash. And right now we have a catch-all, we have a travel card, and we have a dining card. So if you want to have, let's say, so we're at two cards right now, and that two card setup that we talk about with Capital One quite a bit is also relatively low annual fee. If you get the Venture card and the Saver card, you're kind of comparing similar categories, although the Citi Strata Premier actually has better travel categories if you're actually planning on buying directly when it comes to those airline purchases or those hotel purchases. So if you're someone who's actually remotely interested in doing some travel, this card actually setup will be better than Capital One, but it will also be better than Chase because you'll be earning 2x and not 1.5x on everything else. Now, let's see. The rest of Citi is kind of a choose your own adventure. So if you want to add any other cards, you can do some wonderful things. So let's take a look at the next one, which is going to be the Citi Custom Cash Card. So this is a really solid card because, again, no annual fee. You get $200 cash back, which comes in the form of 20,000 thank you points, which is also really huge. So this is a 5% catch-all or 5% card on your top eligible spend categories each billing cycle up to $500 every single month. And so this is actually really solid. And so it only earns 1% back on everything else. So I would only use it for those. But let's take a look at what the categories are. We have gas stations, restaurants, grocery stores, select travel, select transit, select streaming services, drugstores, home improvement stores, fitness clubs, and live entertainment. So this one here can actually be really solid because let's say you want to go to a concert this month, right? Well, then you could actually just put it on this card and you get 5% back or 5x back with thank you points on that purchase. And so for some, up to at least up to $500. And so that's really solid. It's very flexible and it can kind of work into our existing city setup. And so right now with three cards, we have a powerhouse. It's, really 5x on one kind of category, really super sniper focused. And then we have the generalist, the double cash, and then we have the everything else plus dining card, and that's the Citi Strata Premier. So this is a great setup. Now, you do have to think about what you want to do or what you want to get out of your travel. So if you do travel with American Airlines, and pretty much if you are considering Citi, you probably are, because you do have access to the Citi Platinum Select card, which can often get a sign-up bonus as high as 90,000 points. And so that's really solid. And by holding this card, everybody on your reservation gets their first checked bag for free, which again is really, really solid. And so that's important to note. Now, let's say if you actually want to make things a little bit more bougie, you can do that by getting the Citi A Vantage Executive Card. And so this card gets you unlimited access to Admirals Club lounges for you and your family, which is actually really solid. So if you are someone who is traveling in a family and you're traveling to a lot of places that American Airlines happens to service, then this actually could be a great way to actually get you direct lounge access that you can use for your family. Now, you will be losing out on the Centurion clubs, the Capital One lounges, and the Sapphire clubs, but American Airlines, they're kind of famous for having a lounge in pretty much every airport they service, which means no matter where you're going, you're at least getting a free little snack and some free drinks and things. And that can be really solid. Now, this one does have an annual fee of $595. So if you are going for a Citi only setup and you are doing American Airlines, I kind of would try to target this one maybe a little bit over the Citi Strata Elite. Although you don't really want to spend that much on this card. But we can talk about the Citi Strata Elite too. Now, let's take a look at the transfer partners of, actually no, before we do that, let's take a look at the Citi Strata Elite, just because we have to talk about it. So $595, 6x on air travel booked on citytravel.com, 6x on city nights, 3x per dollar dining, 1.5x everything else. Again, I would rather have the double cash than this card, just because this card doesn't do as well. So you'd have to have this card and the Citi Strata Premier, whereas I'd rather just have the Premier and the double cash. So now you do get credits. You get the $200 annual splurge credit, which is insanely easy to use. That's pretty straightforward. Black lane credit, we get private drivers every once in a while when we travel. Definitely would be able to get access to that. Priority pass membership, great. Admirals Club Lounge access, this is 4 per year. And so this is a little bit more limiting at $595 compared to the executive card from American Airlines. And so that's why I would probably say if you're interested in having airfare, having nice kind of travel for your family, maybe that card would be a little bit better. So let's take a look at the transfer partners for Citibank. And so we have American Airlines, which is huge. This is going to be 1-to-1 if you have a Citi Strata Prestige, Elite, or Premier card, and then 1,000 to 700 if you have any other cards, although I would definitely recommend not doing that. Now, you also do have Aeromexico, which does have some sweet spots. You have a core live limitless, which is actually really easy to use. So basically every Accor point is worth about 2 euro cents per point, which means that essentially this would mean that each Citi point is worth about 1 cent per point. And so it's kind of a baseline thing, but it's there, right? Avianca has some really great points, kind of sweet spots, but you do have to kind of worry with a lot of their differences. They have a lot of weird stuff going on. Now, they do have Cathay Pacific and Choice. Now, Choice is 1-to-2, which can be really great considering you can get a room for, maybe 10,000 points, which would be 5,000 actual Citi thank you points. So that's actually not bad when you're talking about those kinds of properties. So that's also a solid option. And then we also did mention that there's JetBlue. So JetBlue is 1-to-1, and JetBlue is actually really great if you're traveling on the East Coast. So for example, I can find really cheap flights for my wife and I from Orlando to Washington, D.C., or even to New York, or even to Boston for that matter, for 6 to 7 to 10,000 points, depending on which one of those places we're trying to go to. And so JetBlue flights are not bad. And then especially from Orlando, you're flying from Terminal C, which is the new nice terminal with the special Plaza Premium Lounge. And so this JetBlue, I'm very excited about. They have really great options. But then we also have a great hotels provider. So we're going to talk about preferred here, and that's 1,000 to 4,000. So it's got a transfer ratio of 1 to 4. And we're going to take a look at I prefer. So I looked in Orlando for just some random spring break dates. And we're looking at some nice properties. We're looking at Rose and Shingle Creek, which is a golf resort, has a huge convention center. It's situated very closely to Universal Boulevard, which is, probably a couple miles away from the parks, at least the Universal side of the parks. The Rosen Plaza Hotel is directly across the street from the Orlando Convention Center. And so this is actually a really nice hotel with a spa and everything. The Rosen Center as well is really good. The Edda Hotel actually has a really famous tea service that's actually really kind of luxurious. So that's kind of nice too. The Alfond Inn is actually in Stetson University. Not Stetson. It's anyway, there's a university in Winter Park, which this one is really, really nice too. And so 50,000 points across the board for each of these. Now, when you think about the 1 to 4, you're actually getting these rooms for 12,500 city points per night. And so I actually was looking at the Rosen Plaza Hotel at around, I think it was $287 per night for the nights that I was looking at. This would then mean that my city points were getting an average value of 2.2 cents per point just for redeeming for a really nice hotel on a popular vacation destination. So this got me thinking, Citibank not only has really, really great transfer options for domestic travel through American Airlines, or then again, we also have options for Aeroplan, Air Canada, and Cathay Pacific, and all these sorts of fun things. But you also get JetBlue, and so if you're traveling to America through American or through JetBlue, you can actually get pretty good points values for domestic economy travel. You don't have to be stuck to yeah, oh, well, it's not going to work that well. I got to do this partner and do this partner. No, all you got to do is transfer your city points to those partners, book with those partners, and you'll get a reasonable deal, right? And so, yeah, are you going to be getting more than 2 cents per point for that? Probably not, right? But it is easy to use. And I think that might be the crux of what Citi is going for here, because you don't have to study award charts. You don't have to learn which airlines are partnered with which airlines and how to book sweet spots. You can just book them with your points, which I feel like is what most people want to do with their point system. So this is really solid. The I prefer system is good. Choice is really good too. 1 to 2, it's the most kind of the most beneficial point transfer. So, and then of course you get the domestic air travel. And so Citibank, not only do they have a lot of really great cards, they have a lot of really great cards with no annual fee, and they also have a lot of really great transfer partners for domestic travel that most people can get good value from. And so, yeah, the Rosen Plaza Hotel, it's definitely not the Waldorf or the Conrad or something like that, but it's a good hotel that you can get good rates from and decent value from without even trying to work that hard. This is a good program, and these are good cards to have. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of think about this and what that might mean for someone else's setup. Let me know in the comment section what you think we should do with this information, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day.